Hello and welcome to my latest vlog covering our trip to Italy recently. I made the mistake that you'll see where I pronounced the lake Aqvatika. That is not the correct way to pronounce the lake. It's Aqvatika, so I can only apologise for my numptiness, and I hope you enjoy the vlog. Well, you joined us. This is day one of our Italian adventure. What you can see behind me is Aqvatika. A lot of people may not have heard of that. It's not really on the English scene, as it were. It's just to the west of Milan and about an hour from Turin. So logistics wise, it's 12 hours, give or take, driving from Calais. We went through St Bernard Tunnel as opposed to Mont Blanc Tunnel. So we went through Lucerne in Switzerland, through the Swiss Alps, and then onto the Italian side, down and into Milan. So if anyone's thinking about it, just bear that in mind. So give or take 12 hours with a couple of stops. We had a lunch and dinner. On the tolls, give or take, you've got 3 tolls, 2 in France. You've got the tunnel itself, St Bernard Tunnel, and 1 toll in Italy. In total, each way it's around €85, so 170 euros, give or take. It's pounds for a euro at the moment, 170 quid for all the tolls. Then obviously you've got the fuel on top, and then obviously the fee for the lake, and anything else really. It's not too bad, the prices aren't too bad over here, a couple hundred quid for a week for a swim. So that's the journey. And on hindsight, we came down on Saturday. They allow obviously people to book up at weekends, obviously your local Italians and that, they'll fish Friday to Sunday. We came down on the Saturday day. Obviously I didn't really want to do an overnight, as I've done that a couple of times before. So we left first thing Saturday. We got here Saturday evening about 10 o'clock. So we hit Calais at 10 and we got here about 10 in the evening basically. And they let us pitch our bivvy up by the lodge and that, and get the bed chairs out and crash out for the night. And then luckily the angler in here, he left early. He left around 10, 11, so we got set up at lunchtime, so that's really handy. There's about 18 swims, 18 double swims. You can either book it single or double, as I've done here, single. If you fish it as a single angler, then it's 4 rods. If it's 2 anglers, then 3 rods each. And you have to choose your peg, so it's 18 swims. And we're in swim 9, or position 9. At the northern end basically, and there's I think half a dozen swims that allow boats. Not all of them do. Any that are fishing in the main body, it's basically casting or bait boats, but the ones that are at the end, or you're fishing the far margin snags and that, then they allow boats. So about 5 or 6. So yeah, we chose this one, and that's where we are, just starting our Italian adventure in Carp. I promised Caroline if I catch a 50, then we'll have a day off and head to Turin. So that's the target. Might be a bit much, but try and catch my first one. Right? So yeah, that's basically day one. Got 3 rods out. I've just got to get the 4th, and then we're set for the night. So I'll clock off. Hopefully, I'll be speaking either tonight or in the morning with an update. Well, folks, it's day one of our Italian adventure. Got the rods out about midday. We got in the swim early. I lost one about 2 o'clock. It got caught round the anglers' lines next door, and obviously the hook pulled. And then I've gone and re-dropped the rod, and I'm fishing on the far margin, but just off in the shelf, about 20 foot instead of really close, like I guess quite a lot of people doing. And just had a drop back, and this is the result. My first ever Italian carp. Now it's a bit of a lively one, so we'll see if it'll play for the camera or not. But she is 2 ounces shy of 42. There you go, folks. My first Italian carp, just shy of 42 pounds, 41.14. Caught on the far margin, about 100 yards out. First day, got the rods in at lunchtime. It's probably about 4 o'clock now, local time. This just fell to a single complex T, wrapped, on the far margin, just down from the shelf in about 20 foot instead of really tight to the shelf like I guess a lot of locals do. And yeah, first day, first Italian carp. Yes sir. Sheer beast or what? Well, here we go folks. It's day one and fish number 2. This isn't everyone's cup of tea, but it is a pretty little thing. It's not quite 20 pounds, but I'll quickly hoist it up. It's another lively one, shall we say. Oh, there you go. Look at that. 18 pound orange linear, if you can catch that. Beautiful fish, isn't it? It's not what we come here for, of course. No, it should be in a pond, but there we go. I think we'll put it back. Day 2. I've just repositioned 2 rods about 6 o'clock this morning in the lovely mist, the orange sunrise above the trees, and this rod's probably been about 10-15 minutes and rattled off. Took me into a snag and I just kept the rod low and just slowly walked back and it came free, and then was able to play it. So here is fish number 4 of the trip. Get a little bit closer, there we go. 35 pound 12 ounce Italian mirror. That's a double, 20, 30 and a 40 now. I just sprinkled probably a couple of handfuls of complex tea and some pellet, 8mm pellet, and that was it really. And I just fished 18mm complex tea boilie. I have been wrapping them, but I don't think there's any problems with the crayfish. I've not seen any signs of hook bait so far, so I'll probably carry on now. I'm catching, but yes, what a lovely fish. Not long after fish number 5, I just got the rod back out. Literally back on the bank for about 2 minutes, and I could see the rod tip just pulling up tight, and I just quickly hit it and got me away from the margin snag. Right. And here we have another typical Aqvatika carp, all of 34 pounds this time. Exactly the same tactics and rigs as last time. Like peas in a pod, didn't they? Like I say, 34 on the nose. And because it's quite deep water, you can take your time with them. So it's 70 foot in the middle, in front of me, and shells up either side. So plenty of deep water and clear, no weed or anything really to think of. Happy days. Folks, this is fish number 6. Unfortunately I've dropped 2. They're all coming to 1 rod at the moment and this morning, so this is the 3rd one this morning for the same rod, and I've dropped 2 as well. quite pleased. This one's slightly different to the last two. It's not quite so round. Really long, lovely looking fish. 38 and a half. So we'll see if we can. Get her up for the camera. You can see how long she is. 38 and a half. I was actually just out in the boat dropping a rig when this went off, so Caroline had to hook and hold it until I got back. Well folks, it's day 3 and this is fish number 10. 37 pounds on the button. So it was a slow, dogged fight and making a funny old noise. And I have to say it feels a lot more than 37. There you go folks. Another chunky Italian carp. Yes, number 10. Over a load of mixed particles and complex teeth 20mm boilies. Still in the business, fishing on the far margin. Seems to be the one rod today. It was another rod the first day. Now they're all coming to another rod. I ain't gonna complain. I don't mind which rod they're gonna pick them up off. Yeah. Yes. Okay, it's day 3 of the trip, and I thought I'd give you an update on where we are with the fish, and I'd also give you a bit more info about the lake since I've been here and learnt a bit more. So far I've had 12 fish. The first one that I had, the 41, still the biggest at the moment, and I've also had 630s up to 38 since then. So I had 3 on the Sunday, 6 on the 6 yesterday on the Monday, and then another 3 this morning so far, making it 12. Unfortunately I've lost 7 various different hook pulls, either from not too far into the fight or at the net even. So, and since I've lost that many on, that was yesterday Monday, where I landed 6 and lost 6. I've changed hook pattern because they're all on one. It was a beaked point, so I've gone to a straight point, and since then, touch wood, I've landed the last 5 fish, so that seems to be working. We'll see how it goes. I have lost 1 on that hook pattern, but that was on the Sunday when it got caught up in the neighbour's lines. The swim's quite narrow, so that's where we are on the fish front. So I'm not complaining about that. 12 fish out of I think it's 19 bites, so that's fairly respectable. On the actual lake itself, people who don't know, it's a sand pit, so obviously you need to sort of suit your end tackle towards it. So I've got the sandy ESP lead core on the rods, and I'm using Gardner Ultra Skin in brown leads. If what I've got of sort of like a creamy brown, but I've got quite a few dark ones, so at least I know if I come back here in the future, slightly lighter leads, but it doesn't seem to be affecting them as far as I know. Any 12 bites seems good to me. So yeah, just sort of take that in mind, because it's a deep sandy lake. If I haven't mentioned to anyone, it shelves off quite sharply in the margins, sort of straight down to 20-30 foot, and then it shelves into the middle, in front of me at least, 70 foot, and then starts to shelve up, and then you get a real shallow shelf, well, shallowish, around the sort of 10-15 foot on the far margin, around 90 to 110. It sort of slopes away the margin, so my left hand's 90 yards and my right is 110, and the middle 100. I think this swim I'm in peg 9. It is a double, so 2 people can fish with 3 rods each, but I find it quite narrow. There's markers on the far side, so it denotes your boundaries between swim 10 to my left and 8 to my right, so I can't go any further left or right of those markers out, the white buoys on the far margin. And I find it's quite narrow, so I'm actually now only fishing 3. I did start off with 4, but I think it's just too many lines, it's causing too much trouble. I could drop one short, but I just think it's going to spell danger when I'm trying to play fishing in deep water and you've got that line just cutting straight down. You just know you're probably going to end up with fish going through it, so I've just decided I'm going to fish 3 for now. the action's been fairly consistent, so I'll stick with that at the moment. Also, because it is now, unfortunately, I've taken out the neighbour to me right twice. First time he struck and we lost the fish. That was the very first bite. Obviously since then he knows, so I had another one taken out last night, but luckily he jumped in the boat and could see me playing it, so he just flicked the bail arm open, so that was good. And then last night, unfortunately, I took out the angler to my left and wiped out all 3 rods during the night. It went round a reed bed and then the line was up a tree. I just had to go out in the boat, and the fish was actually on the other side of his rods in a bay. So we're in a little bay here, and he's down at the bottom end of the bay, and it's to my right, and he's just it's just taken all 3 rods out. The fish was over it, but as I was trying to go under his lines because his rods are high, and it just got in a mess, unfortunately. I was trying to do the right thing. I was trying to shout and that and wake him up, but yeah, he had to go out and sort them all out again, so I'm probably not in his best books at the moment. I did go around and do some pictures for him though, so hopefully he'll forgive me. So yeah, that's really where we are at the moment. It's been quite frenetic at times. Just suddenly they come in groups, and both the anglers on either side of me and me, we all had a fish last night about the same time. I don't know what weight it was. The angler in number 8, he had a good fish last night. I don't know exactly, but I'd have thought around the 60-ish pound mark, something like that. So I gave him a hand in actually netting it. It was a long old dogged fight. The fish didn't want to give up, but eventually it did, as they do, and I scooped it up for him and it just filled his net. So yeah, it looked a really nice fish as well, so I was happy to help him out there after I'd gone and wiped out one of his rods, so I think I paid him back at least. So yeah, we've got, 4 more days, so hopefully that continues, and maybe I can better that 41. That's what we always hope when we go, that we catch a bigger one. So that's what I'm hoping, maybe 44 or something, good old European 20 kilo mark. That would be nice. So, yeah. Well, folks, before I come here, I said to Caroline, if I have a 50 plus, then we'll have a day in Turin, which is just down the road. And we're going to Turin, folks. There we go, one 51 pound 2 ounce Aqvatika common. Okay, so welcome to the bait section of the trip. So I just thought I'd quickly cover the bait I brought to the lake. On their website they advise that people use roughly around 50 kilos of bait or more for a week, and that sounds a lot. I thought it sounded a lot to me, but it probably is fairly accurate. We're halfway through the trip and I've used around 12 keys of boilies, I think 6 key of pellet, and getting on for about 10 kilos of particles. So I'll just go through my approach. So on the boilie front, I'm using the same as on a Tang 5. I'm using Complex T in 18 and 20 for this venue. On a Tang 5 I was using 15s and 18s. On here I brought 15 kilos of 18mm and 10 kilos of 20mm. And I'm fishing 20mm hook baits. All of my fish have come on single 20mm hardened hook baits so far. Only one has come with tipped with corn. All of them pretty much, it's just out the bag. They're even hardened hook baits or hardened hook bait wrapped. Initially I thought there was crayfish in here in the lake. I'd seen a video associated to the lake with crayfish on there, but I've not seen any evidence of any problems with crayfish, so that's good news. And I've not seen any in the margins. You know, when you go out at night without the head torch on or whatever, and you might see a few scurrying around as you do in the European venues. I've not seen any here either, so if there is any, I don't think they're in great numbers, so that's good news. So that's on the boilie front. Also, for people who do like to use freezers over shelf life ready-mades, they have got a chest freezer in the compound, so you can, if you want to bring freezer baits over here. Obviously you've got to take in mind that it's a long old drive, so you've got to make sure that you keep them cool or whatever, so that they survive the journey, which you're probably talking, you know, anywhere up to 18 hours, I guess. So before you get here, and you can stick them in the freezer, so they're going to be thawed out, and then you're going to refreeze them. So you just got to bear that in mind. I've bought a mixture. Basically, I use freezers for the start of the week, just like I did on a Tang 5, and that's all used up. I'm now onto my readies. I've not really noticed any difference in drop, but it's one of those personal things, isn't it, that some people have a problem with, like me, and others don't. So that's the boilies. The fish here, they get fed on pellets a lot. They see a hell of a lot of pellets. So I've brought with me 10 kilos. I would like to have brought more, but space was a bit of a premium in my estate. So I've got, basically what I brought with me in a bucket, a 10 kilo bucket, is basically 8mm Coppins Premium Select pellets. They're quite a firm, hard, slightly oily content, and I like those a lot. So that's the pellet I brought with me. And over 2 rods, I'm fishing boilie and pellet, just over the 2. And then on the 3rd rod, which has produced the majority of the fish, but it could be the spot as opposed to bait, is basically boilie with a little bit of pellet, boilie. And for the first few days I've made me a pigeon conditioner, so marriages, pigeon conditioner, get it all in various different pet stores and that. I brought a 10 kilo bucket of that with me, and I'd up that and I soaked that in, and that's all gone now. So I soaked that in hemp oil before we left, and the CSL, Dynamite CSL liquid. So that the marriages, pigeon conditioner, was soaked in all that. Some sea salt as well. And now, because I knew that I'd probably run out of that, I've then got obviously the handy, is the good old mixed particles. So unfortunately, this is Wednesday, and we've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday to go. This is my last jar. I've got a little bit in the bucket I'm sitting on, but not much. One fish. If I have one more fish, then what's in the bucket will go out. So I've got that to last me. Pellet, I've got about 3 kilos left, so boilies not too bad. So I could be ending up with just boilies only at the end of the week. And then the final piece, I guess, on bait, and I didn't really cover it, I don't think, on the previous vlog, is mix. So I like to use tiny little sticks on the hooks, just dropping it down. I suppose PVA foams, you've got a bit of food source there, and it's just protecting the hook. And I'll just use tiny little sticks. These are the long chuck PVA sticks that you get from Corda, tiny little, about an inch long, just enough just to hook it onto the hook. You don't thread it down the rig or anything, literally just hook it on, and then you just, you know, you're casting it, dropping it, whatever. And that whole tub, I'm probably just under half. I'm not sure how much is in a tub. Now this stick mix is what I've made. So if you can see that, this is the Dynamite's active stick mix. I blitz it all down again. I then add complex tea boilies, the ready-mades. So I use the 18mm and blitz them all down. Sea salt, hemp oil, and some CSL liquid. I like to have quite a bit of liquid and a lot of oil in that. In this lake it's quite deep, so the oil helps slow down the melt rate of the PVA. So I just thought I'd add that piece, and that is the bait section, folks. Here we go. This is one absolutely cracking, golden looking common, long as anything. 33 pounds, right on the nose. Look at that. Beautiful, eh? Beautiful common. Fish number 16. Oof. Got me into the far margin snag, but just slowly but surely managed to ease it out, and then it came in, and then just normal sort of fight really in deep water. And And then suddenly she was there under the rod tip. Quick, oh, netter. Yes. Got a live one here. Well, don't want to give them numbers, but this is fish number 18, day 4. Unfortunately, I've not been fishing too much. Been ill today with migraine, but finally got the rods out about, I think it's about 2-3 o'clock. Had a 21 at 4 o'clock. I think it's about 6 now, something like that. And the middle rod's just had a drop back, just slow drop back. And I just wound down and just struck and actually made connection, because I've not made connection with quite a few of the drop backs. I weren't sure if it was small fish or carp, but this one is definitely a carp. It's the biggest mirror of the trip so far, at 42.10. And it's a right chunky bruiser. Let's see if I can lift her up to the cameras. She's watching a lot. There we go, folks. 42.10 Italian mirror carp. Look at the shoulders on it. Oh yes, lovely times. Oh. Right, so I just thought I'd take you through the facilities here at the lake. Nice little arbour here, just to keep out the hot Italian sun. Have a drink, a beer or whatever, smoke. This is the sort of admin room. You go through and just make sure you do all your bookings and put all your fish and whatever and that. That's where they store all the extra tackle and bits and pieces and that, so that's normally locked. This is where there is a fridge freezer for food, so that's handy. So you can stick it all in there. And then you've got a bait freezer, so if you like your freezer baits and that, you can bring your freezer baits, not a problem. Vending machine for your cafe, you've got to have your cafe. And then they've got charging points, so I stick your leisure batteries, phones, whatever else in. You've got gadgets and that, so that's really useful. Pellet, they sell pellet here. I think it's €50 for a 25 kilo sack. So you've got 8mm, which you use on the lake. The smaller ones are for their stock fish. So you've got pellet in that there. You've got a sink here so you can wash and clean and that just outside. And in here is the toilet and shower block. It's always mopped and clean and that, so it's nice, spacious room just to get all cleaned up and whatever. So yeah, that's the facilities of the lake. Like I say, it's all right, it's nice. it's Thursday. Didn't have anything in the night. The last fish was the 42, 9 o'clock last night, and then first light, reset all the rods, got new rigs, hook baits, topped up all the baits, and the bites have started again. So I think this is the 4th fish now. It's about midday. I've been dropping a few on the drop back, so I've changed the lead clips because I normally snip them, so the leads drop off, and I've been not connecting with the fish, so I've changed to just basically putting a standard lead clip on, and this one I actually connected with, and the one before, so quite happy with it. Tactics seem to work. And as with all these Italian carp, they seem to be rather angry. It's not a huge fish, but it's typical of the stamp of type of fish that I've been catching out here. This is 31.5 mirror. You can see the small head, big shoulders, lovely chunky fish. I'll say, yeah, I'm not sure, it might be the 10th 30, something like that, 2 40s and a 50 so far. Not that we should put numbers on it, but it's the 23rd fish. Had about 30 bites, 31 bites, something like that. Plus obviously I've dropped quite a few on the old drop backs where I've not connected, but this one I did. So I'm hoping that having more drop backs, maybe I won't be losing them now. The lead won't ditch so quick, and might set the hook. I'm really happy. It's a lovely fish, and he's calmed down for a change. What's wrong with you? Happy days. Right, so I'm just going to go through the rig that I used in Italy. I did do it on the bank, but the quality was quite poor, the light. So I'm just going to do it again now. As I've mentioned, I did start off using the Kamakuras with the kickers on the end. On the Sunday and the Monday I was using those. I think I landed maybe 6 or 7, and I lost just as many. I think I lost 7 in total on the Kamakuras. I'm not really sure why. I do rate the hooks, I really like them. I wouldn't have taken them with me otherwise. But obviously it was about 50% land to loss ratio, and that wasn't good enough, and I needed to change. So on the Monday evening I was fishing that's what I was the sort of fishing that most people do, Kamakura with the kicker, so just interned kicker. And like I say, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the bare metal, the beaked point, or what. I'm not sure, but for some reason on that venue I was struggling with it, so I switched over to the curved shanks, the straight point. Another hook pattern I do use occasionally is the muggers. I generally use these more in Belgium than anything, to be honest. They're hand sharpened ones by Jason Hayward, but on this occasion I was actually using the quarter curved shanks in a size 4. So what I'll just go through is I'll quickly tie this up. This is slightly different. I don't use the kickers on the curved shank, and I don't like to extend the curved shank, which is slightly different to what I've seen on other people. So I'll just sort of go through it. So I'm going to use artistic license because although I was using the brown ultra skin in Italy, I'm running a bit low. So I'm going to use an artistic license and use the silt. So if I just make a start, now you can strip a bit off if you want the supple hair or not. I'm not overly fussed, to be honest, if I strip it or not. To me, you only really need to strip between the actual knot on the hook and the boilie itself to give a bit of movement. The actual braid within the boilie doesn't really matter. So I'll just tighten that up. And then I'll cut a length off. And move that away. So I just thread on the hook, back of the hook. I suppose I should get rid of the tag as well. Depends if you're doing a single or a double boilie. If you want a single knot or a double knot to stop the second boilie from moving, we'll go for a single boilie on this occasion. As you can see there, just out that. Now this is tied up for an 18 or a 20mm boilie, so you can use a boilie stop or an extender if you're slightly short. And then what I'll do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turns and thread that back through. Just a good old standard knotless knot. Now pull that really tight, and then get that hair coming down the back of the shank like that. Then you can see it's quite an aggressive angle on the hook already, so that's why I don't really see the need to extend it. Then what I'll do, so what I do with the shrink tube is just in line with the point of the hook there, if you can see that. To the end of the eye, and I just snip that flush with the end of the eye. Thread that shrink tube on. So what I'll do now is I'll just moisten it up. Make sure that can pass over because it's quite thick hook braid. Push that all the way up. It's just, if you can see just there. It's just over the eye, so it stops it from slipping down just up to the point. So if I do that like that there, you should be able to see it. That's, or maybe a slightly fraction more shrink tube, and that's it, and you'll see the actual angle. I've got a rig made up with a boilie. Then what I do is I'll slide on one of these Fox tungsten weights. So get that out of the way, and I'll just slide that down to about inch and a bit away from the hook, like that, and then just tie off a loop knot. I have quite short rigs, as we've mentioned before. I don't generally fish deep silty lakes where I need to have long rigs. And let's tighten that up. I'll snip off the tag. And there we have it. That was the rig I used at Aqvatika. Look, I think I had, in the end, I think it was give or take, I think it was about 18 or 19 out of the 27 fish on this. I only lost 2, as opposed to losing 7 on the Kamakuras and landing I think 8. So it's a lot better ratio. Something we're all going to be a bit more happier with. So then once you've tied that up, you just steam that over the kettle. You just steam that heat shrink over the kettle, and that's it. It's as simple as that. So I'll show you the link for the hair. So if I show you 2 that I've made earlier on, Blue Peter style, and if I hold that up, you should be able to see how that rig sits. So if I hold that up like that, you can see the angle of the hook there, and that's why I don't think you really need to extend the heat shrink beyond the hook eye. See, you can see that is nice aggressive angle to catch fish. Now that's a double, that's generally what I was using in Belgium and that, and then what I was using at Aqvatika was the single. That's what caught me all my fish, including the 50. Well, it's Friday, and it's this will be the last vlog of the trip. I somehow made a mistake in my booking. I thought we'd book Sunday to Sunday, but in fact I think we booked Saturday to Saturday. We'd turn up Saturday night and there was someone in the swim, and we moved in here Sunday lunchtime, but we've got to go tomorrow lunchtime, so I've got one more night. I guess it's a sort of mixed result, really, obviously with the time we've had, the 6 nights. I've had 25 fish up to today, including 930s, 2 40s and a 50. So I suppose in that sense I sort of met expectations, what I sort of hoped to catch, which is good. But obviously when you come on places like this, you hope to sort of maybe exceed and catch one of the whackers in these sort of lakes. This lake's got fish up to nearly 80 pounds now, and there's been 60s caught either side of me, and a few other 60s around the lake this week. So my 51 is rather small in comparison, really. But it is what it is. I lost Wednesday. I lost most of Wednesday, really, and we've been out the town today. So that's sort of 2 days out of the 6 I'm not fishing. So in that sense, it's not been too bad. But I've dropped, I think 9 now. I've had 9 hook pulls. So you'd expect maybe 1 out of those 9 could have been a good fish. But like I say, it's first time here, I guess, and it's always lessons learned. And if you return, you'll be more prepared and maybe be more successful. It's a lovely place. It can be a bit. It's middle of nowhere. It's quite quiet, tranquil, and the fish, they're nice fish. There's plenty of sport here, a lot of action. You've got to choose your pegs right. That's one thing I would say. Do your research. Certain swims will produce at certain times of year. We all know that. And I did do that sort of beforehand, and made sure when I contacted the lake, I gave them 3 different weeks to see which swims were available. And the 3rd week out of the 3 had what I would call a good swim, which is this one, peg 9. Just looking at all the catch reports, all the fish, the backgrounds, the usual thing you look at. And this one looked to be sort of a pretty consistent swim, so I'm quite happy with that. I know other people who have been here this week have struggled. There's been a few what have had a couple of fish for the week, while there's others. I know there was a pair on what I call the point. I'm not sure what the swim's called. I think it's swim 11. I think there's 2 people from Spain. I think they had in excess of 50 fish between them in a week. So just to give you expectations, if you could be in an area where there's not many fish, they're not frequenting that, and you could struggle. You might have a few. I know one person who turned up yesterday, within half hour he had a 30 kilo common, 66 to 68 pound common within half hour of turning up. I'm not sure if he's had anything else though. I've not heard of anything else, but bass fishing, I suppose. But our first trip to Italy, we can't complain, can you? 25 fish and 50. Just hope maybe one more, maybe another 40, something like that. Like I say, it's just only European standards, it's only 1 over 20 kilos out of the 25 fish. So you'd hope to have had a couple more really. But like I say, it's fantastic sport, fantastic fishing, and it's nothing to do with the lake or the fish. I mean, I've lost 9 fish. There's nothing else. It's just me. I've lost 9, and out of those 9, you'd expect probably 1 or 2 might have been 20 kilo plus, and that's hook pulls. I've just lost another one. So we've been out all day. I didn't have any bites this morning before we left for town. And also we got back, got the rod out, and it went off within about an hour. It's about bite time, it's 6:30 now, local time, and I've had consistently bites throughout the week around this time, so I was hopeful to maybe try and nick one before night settings. I think I've had 2 or 3 bites around 9 o'clock, and there we go, I think I'm in. Where was I? Just missed the drop back, another one. I would say the facilities, they're fairly comparable to other places we've been across Europe, and that they're okay, quite nice and that, and clean. You've got all you've got the fridge freezers, you can charge your stuff up and that, toilet and shower, so plenty, so that's nice. It's nice and comfortable. The swims are fairly comfortable and that, big and spacious. So I definitely would recommend the place to people. Just like I say, do your research and plan. It's a long old trip if you're planning to drive like we have. So apart from that, fingers crossed, maybe we'll finish off this piece with a fish or 2 in the morning before we pack up. Well, it was only a couple of hours after my last vlog on a Friday evening. It's about 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, and this lovely 36.6 just turned up, just to cheer me up a bit. This is the 10th 30 of the trip, so I'm really made up now. It's 4th bite since we come back from Torino. So, hook pull for the first one, drop back I didn't connect. I had a little common about an hour before this, and then was playing this one. I knew it was a lot better. He was hugging the bottom, and just the fight was a lot slower and dogged. So, happy days.